speaker of the day, Ms. Shrija Nair, the product management
This call
leader
is now being recorded.
at Qualcomm, USA, who is going to present the topic of demystifying Wi-Fi networks and how she worked in her life to be able to successfully achieve her goals. I would now like Dishamani to give a brief introduction of the speaker of our day. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Rija Nair is a product management leader at Qualcomm, where she interacts with wireless enterprise providers to align their connectivity needs with Qualcomm's prolific wireless portfolio. She is responsible for defining the roadmap, strategy, features, and use cases for the next generation of wireless connectivity solutions, which are laying the foundations for enterprise IoT smart homes and has two patents in the field of wireless technologies. She is a 2020 YWCA Silicon Valley Tribute to Women honoree, an award honoring exceptional women leaders in Silicon Valley. Shrija was recognized as Qualcomm's Global Inclusion and Diversity Champion in 2019 for her leadership in D&I at Qualcomm and in the community. She has been a speaker, panelist, and MC at the Watermark Conference, IEEE WIE International Leadership Conference, and Women in Silicon Valley Conference, among many other prestigious events. She is extremely passionate about mentoring new college graduates and building a pipeline of girls for the STEM field. She actively works for the cause by volunteering on various boards and events, including IEEE WI Santa Clara Valley and NCWIT Bay Area. She has been a speaker and MC at various conferences and volunteers for two NGOs supporting education, which are Reading Partners and VIPA. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. The mic now goes to you.
Thank you so much. I think that was such a professional introduction, really wowed by it. Thank you, both of you.
Yeah, thank you.
So without further ado, after that introduction, it's on me, to take the baton forward. So I'll delve right in. And this is a great platform. So thank you to each one of you for first joining us. And beyond that, I think I want to thank Harsh particularly and the faculty for giving me this opportunity and reaching out to me, and the entire team who's held them in the back end and putting this event together. So when I was about 10 years old, I remember an aunt of mine, and she asked me a fun question. What is something you absolutely need but cannot see or feel? And I vaguely remember excitedly answering it saying, air. Uh, Fast forward to 2020, and a few days ago, I actually asked my 10-year-old niece the same question. And believe it or not, she nonchalantly said, of course, Wi-Fi. And if you thought it was just children, let me tell you. In a study conducted in the UK, a majority of the adults voted for Wi-Fi as the best invention of the last 25 years. And if that did not convince you either, let me tell you something that one of my friends told me, a secret that she let me in on. The fastest and the easiest way to get your family together into one room, pull the plug on the Wi-Fi router. Such is the pervasiveness of Wi-Fi in our lives. Good evening, everyone. I am Shrija Nair, a staff product manager in the Wireless Infrastructure and Networking Division at Qualcomm, where our team is focused on technologies for the wired and wireless connectivity for the home, enterprise, and service providers. If you do not know Qualcomm, to tell you, Qualcomm is leading innovator in 5G. And if any of you has a smartphone, it most likely has some form of Qualcomm technology in it. And today, it is my honor to demystify Wi-Fi mesh networks, a technology upgrade for your home routers, which are laying the foundation for our connected and secure homes. In addition, I will also talk about the latest Wi-Fi technology updates, some market trends, and some interesting use cases. So in the chat window, why don't you tell me how many total devices do you have connected to your home router these days? I'm not sure if you all are comfortable doing that, but I'd like to see if you have any answers. Rough guesses as to how many devices do you think are connected to your home router lately, especially in the pandemic? Okay, I see 8, 5 to 6 devices. Okay, thank you. That's great engagement. This is an awesome audience. Thank you so much for responding. Really appreciate it. Okay, I got some great responses. So it looks like typically in your kind of setting, it seems to be somewhere in the between the 5 to 10 ranges. I see an average, right? So do you think the number has gone up in the recent years? If yes, you could just type in the window yes. In the last 3, 4 years, do you think the number has gone up from where you all were before? Yes, definitely yes, right? Okay, thank you. I got my responses there. So as the graph here shows, the number of connected devices in an average home in the US is, now this study was done in the US, so the numbers might differ slightly than what you may see, but the number of devices in an average home is expected to increase exponentially to 50 by the year 2022. Imagine for a moment that all of your homes have 50 devices connected to your router today. Can you give me some ideas in the chat box as to what problems do you think your current Wi-Fi network may show? And any ideas in the chat box as to what ideas you think your Wi-Fi, what kind of problems do you think your Wi-Fi router will run into? Speed, great point. Any others? Anything that you can think of? Feel free. This is reconnections, yes. Retransmissions, reconnections, yes. Bandwidth, okay, absolutely. Quality, yes. Some interesting answers. Great to see you. Great to see some ideas. Overloading, ping loss. Wow, you guys know everything. Yes, speed slowdown. So I did get some interesting answers, right? So as I, if I had to summarize, it was like there was speed. There was also about in terms of how's the latency, or in terms of ping, etc. Right, that we were talking about. So that's quite a good list that you all brought up. So based on a survey conducted in 2016, this was really early. I mean, I'm sure some things may have changed, but almost 59% of Wi-Fi users experienced issues. The top three were buffering or lags in streaming, spotty or slow connectivity, losing connection in the middle of a critical live stream. And I'm sure the surveys conducted now, we will sure hear of, Zoom call drops, video being choppy, among many more work from home trends. Let's park those recent trends, for a discussion at the end of the call. But now more devices means more data. An average consumer in 2016 consumed 71 gig of data on their Wi-Fi networks each month. And by 2020, pre-COVID, the number was expected to more than double to 165 gig per month. Needless to say, which direction the number might be moving now. What this means is not only are we more connected, we are also increasingly data hungry. So if you look at the last decade, as the Wi-Fi protocol has evolved, much to our delight, now it has been renamed as well. We'll talk about these protocols at the end. After the technology part, they were primarily focused on speed. But when we design our products, we do not think of it unidimensionally. We think of the problems of the average user. And I could not think of a better example than my mom. So my mom is a retired banking professional, and she is far from a techie. In the digital age, she loves staying connected with her friends and the world through WhatsApp, YouTube, and Facebook. A few years ago, I proudly gifted her one of the products my team and I had worked on. A few days later, I received a frantic call from her. How do I set this up? My internet does not turn on. So for an average user like my mom, onboarding should be intuitive. Now, taking this further, The product manager in me would bucketize an average user's primary Wi-Fi needs as plug and play installation, good coverage throughout the home, no downtime, and definitely security. And we heard our users. Enter Wi-Fi Mesh Network Solutions, a simple, smart, and secure Wi-Fi solution to solve the connectivity challenges of modern-day networks and use cases. Let us try and understand how these work. One example would be your backend connection, say from your Hathway or your Airtel or modem device, connecting to one of these devices, okay? Which we will configure as a root node or root AP or root access point, okay? So there are different terminologies. Here it's marked as root AP. Now this device can connect to other nodes called child nodes through an Ethernet cable, right? All of you are familiar with an Ethernet cable. But imagine these Ethernet wires that will run all across your house. That will look ugly, right? Imagine we want to hide all the wires. We're moving into a wireless world. So the good part or the great part is that this root node can connect with a child node wirelessly. And each child node can connect further to other child nodes, creating a Wi-Fi mesh topology. So something like this. Each of these root and child nodes is like an independent router, which means these child nodes could be positioned in your hall, in your room, in your garage, garden, and effectively extend the range of your network. Now, depending on the size of your house, you may need one or multiple child nodes that are connected wirelessly. And you can manage them all using an app. The app will guide you on the best possible placement of each child node. And based on a combination of factors such as, say, signal strength, interference, etc., you can place the device. So which means seamless onboarding and device management at your fingertips. To validate our hypothesis of the improvement in performance, we did an A/B testing. And here is the result. So consider a traditional router, that is one router connected at the corner of your house. You know, here you can see the blue dot. I can just probably. So think of here is where the router is. So as you can see, the Wi-Fi signal penetrates through the walls of the house and reaches the other corner of the house, and the measured speed at the corner is about 60 Mbps. Now consider the same house with a two-node mesh router system with the same Wi-Fi config as in the first case. The root node is placed at the same location, and the child node is placed at a location close to where we previously observed the low throughput. And we see a 4x improvement in throughput. This is done by centralizing the transmissions away from the neighbors and around the home. Let's quickly delve into the key features that make these systems a must-have for every home. These devices provide corner-to-corner coverage by self-organizing themselves. They are adapted to changing networking conditions, content, and the device mix in the home, and hence we are self-optimizing. They are able to reallocate capacity if a node loses connection, and in that they are self-healing. And of course, they provide robust security. They recognize abnormalities and quarantine, that is, they self-protect. Let me show you an interesting video that kind of illustrates these features. And the result is a phenomenal user experience. Zero coverage gaps, zero glitches, zero dropped connections, and zero buffering. Did you enjoy the video? Let me know in the chats what you thought of the video. What did you learn from that? Okay, good insight. Yes. Any others? I'll take a couple more before I go back to presenting again. Anything that related with you? Okay, good to hear. I'm glad that you like the video also. So I enjoy that video also every time I see it. Uh, so moving back, coming back. So what's in the future for these devices, right? So now I showed you, okay, this is the technology. What does the future look like for these devices? A smart home in the not so distant future will look something like this. So imagine, I mean, you can see, imagine Harsh is the person in the picture. As you can see, there's a boy there. So Harsh is the person in the picture. So as Harsh walks into his home, immersed in his video game, his smart home, enabled by Wi-Fi mesh networks, will say, "Hey, welcome home, Harsh," and will announce that, "Hey, Harsh is home," while activating all the smart devices inside the home. And as he walks into his room, the game on his mobile will sync to his TV. The thermostat will adjust to the preferred temperature, the lights will turn on, and the blinds will come down. And this is the seamless experience where you talk to your home and your home interacts with you. And our team, the team that I work on at Qualcomm, our team's vision is to make the network intelligent, interactive, connected, and secure. So connected using technologies like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, etc. Intelligent using machine learning, AI, computer vision, and processing at the edge. Interactive using our senses. So think of motion, voice, touch, and of course, secure using the network and the cloud. These are the four pillars that define the next generation of our mesh devices. Another key feature that we are bringing into these devices is spatial AI sensing. A use case of this feature would be for elderly care. So including breathing, fall detection, motion detection inside the home, all using these mesh devices and with no cameras. By analyzing the RF signals that bounce between these mesh devices and using machine learning algorithms, we can predict the state of the space within the house. Say someone broke into your house, the signal would show a different pattern and alert you, in a way serving as a home security system as well. You can use the same principle for monitoring breathing for your elders or your babies. There are many more applications that our partners are integrating using this underlying technology and making the connected home a reality. Now that we have a good understanding of Wi-Fi mesh devices and the problem that they're trying to solve, let me walk you through some protocol advancements in Wi-Fi as a technology that are the foundations for this mesh technology, or Wi-Fi mesh technology to be precise. And before going into the latest protocol advancements in Wi-Fi, here is a quick refresher on how Wi-Fi protocols have evolved over the years. For those who are not familiar with 802.11 or the protocol, 802.11 refers to specifications developed by the IEEE for wireless LAN or WLAN or Wi-Fi technology. 802.11 specifies an over-the-air interface between a wireless client, which is, think of your phone, laptop, etc., that connects to your router, and a base station, or which is, your router, or it can even be between two wireless clients. So let's go back in history a bit. It started with the 802.1b standard, right? And this was for 2.4 gigahertz. You saw in the video, there was this band highlighted. There was 2.4 gigahertz and there was 5 gigahertz. So these are the two spectrums that traditional Wi-Fi has been operating in. So 802.11b was for 2.4 gigahertz, and 11a was for 5 gigahertz. And this was way back in 1999. And thanks to some renaming that has happened in recent times, you don't have to remember these alphabets anymore, but you can refer to them as Wi-Fi 1, Wi-Fi 2. Okay, so as you can see here, 11b was Wi-Fi 1, A is not shown here, but that was Wi-Fi 2. This was followed by 11G or Wi-Fi 3, 11N or Wi-Fi 4, and 11AC or Wi-Fi 5. Now, during this time, there were not many devices. When this whole ABG transition to N was happening, and this is in line with what we discussed before, right? When I asked you at the beginning, hey, are the number of devices increasing? And you said yes. And also remember the study that I showed you where we said the devices are rising exponentially, right? So we were focused on connecting, a minimal number of devices when we started off, 1 or 2 devices to a router. And the focus of the technology was to achieve maximum speed for these connections. This was primarily done via modulation schemes, increased bandwidth, and MIMO technologies. But around this point where we saw, this wave 2 of Wi-Fi, you can see here, right? Wave 2 of Wi-Fi protocol, this was around the 2015 timeframe. There was a shift from an ever-increasing speed towards increasing capacity. This was when, we saw a lot of these devices, these smaller devices, these IoT devices, slowly starting to creep in. And one of the reasons that drove this focus is what I discussed at the beginning, the ever-increasing number of devices coming online. And now the latest Wi-Fi protocol, 802.11x, or AX, sorry, 802.11ax, or Wi-Fi 6, is a continuation of that permanent shift where the focus is on network efficiency and basically connecting everything, as you can see here, right? So in terms of protocol advancement, the current generation of these mesh devices that I just showed you before are being powered by Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax. Wi-Fi 6 is the latest IEEE standard for Wi-Fi technology. So this is similar to how 5G is the next generation of cellular technology from 4G. So we have moved from Wi-Fi 5, which was 11AC, to Wi-Fi 6, which is 11ax. And it fundamentally changes the way Wi-Fi operates to significantly increase network capacity. And what it promises is, a 4x bump in overall capacity, significant improvement in throughput, and better coverage in dense Wi-Fi environments, which, has been the need of the hour as we are all getting connected. Now imagine in India, you go platforms or railway stations, you have so many devices connecting there, etc., right? So that densification or better coverage in dense Wi-Fi environments is really critical. And that is achieved with Wi-Fi 6. Now here are 2 cool products that use Wi-Fi 6 mesh and voice integration that launched early. I mean, these were one of the early movers. So to the left, you have the Asus Lycra Voice, which is the world's first announced mesh Wi-Fi system to integrate voice assistants. And this came in CES 2018. And then we have the Netgear Orbi Voice, the world's first mesh Wi-Fi system with built-in Alexa smart speaker and audio by Herman Carbon, and many more from the likes of Google, Amazon, Eero, D-Link, among others. So you'll see that these are the devices that have flooded the market. And if you go to a store, I mean, just walk into one of the stores that sell these, and you'll see that they come in 3 packs and all sizes and shapes. One more thing that attracts me towards these devices is previously, the router in your home, you would keep it and you'd keep it hidden. But now they come in these beautiful form factors that you need not keep it hidden, but you can beautifully show off in your house. So now this year has been a momentous year for folks working on Wi-Fi because the FCC, which is a regulatory body in the US, has announced that the 6 gigahertz. So think of it this way. I was talking about 2.4 and 5 being the spectrum, the frequency bands that Wi-Fi operated in. But this year, just earlier this year in April, there was a historic announcement where the FCC announced that the 6 gigahertz unlicensed spectrum will be opened up for Wi-Fi. And soon many other regulatory bodies across the world have followed suit. What this means is, in addition to the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz frequency bands that Wi-Fi previously operated in, now you get an additional pristine spectrum for Wi-Fi. So considering how valuable a resource spectrum is, this clears space for legacy devices, provides dedicated lanes for newer devices, and significantly will reduce congestion and surge throughput and stability. So the next generation of these mesh Wi-Fi devices will support Wi-Fi 6E protocol. And you will see devices having 3 radios supporting 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz. And this will, it'll start depending on the regions where the 6 gigahertz spectrum opens up. So it is slow, it's just ramping up slow, and the regulatory bodies across the world are reviewing how it can be opened up. The entire spectrum may not be opened up everywhere, depending on, incumbent use cases that exist or incumbent applications that exist. But this will significantly help next generation of immersive experience use cases like AR, VR, which can now be steered to the 6 gigahertz band with less interference, higher capacity, low latency, and high throughput. Now, one more thing that I promised at the beginning was, now that we've discussed about Wi-Fi mesh, Wi-Fi protocol advancements, let's look at some India-specific Wi-Fi user trends. So based on a study in 2019, 4.2 exabytes means 4.2 billion gigabytes of data, oh man, that's massive, of India's mobile traffic will be offloaded to Wi-Fi by 2022. And do remember, this was pre-COVID, which means it's going to be more in the COVID and post-COVID era, as we've moved into this whole work from home models, etc. And a lot of tasks are getting done from home. So 10x more than what it was in 2017. And to support this heavy uplift, it is imperative that we upgrade to these latest technologies such as Wi-Fi, mesh architectures, etc. So the graph here shows Railtel Google Wi-Fi users' usage patterns from a study in 2017. So surveyed users were inclined towards evolved use cases such as online shopping, e-banking, news, and textual browsing, and utility transactions such as ticket booking. This is captured in the productivity category. While social networking ranked the highest, needless to say that, amongst usage patterns, evolved activity usage trends were almost equally popular. We can see that with unconstrained access to the internet, users are migrating to more evolved and productivity-enhancing use cases. The next graph here shows how percentage of video consumption in India is growing exponentially. Mobile penetration in India is expected to be at about 70% in 2021. And that's a significant uplift from its 10% levels in 2015. And what's remarkable is how video is gaining importance as a percentage of mobile data traffic. Again, this is pre-COVID data, and it's expected to be at 80% in 2021. Now, it remains to be seen whether the majority is going to be watching videos on Metro app or on, or studying on Byju's or the likes or coding on White Hat Junior. The other trend that we see on this third graph is how there's a huge variance in the medium of data consumption. And the middle bars indicate the surge the Wi-Fi demand has seen and as the Wi-Fi infrastructure across India has improved. And this shows why Wi-Fi infrastructure needs to be upgraded to bring more people online. And one common theme that we can see across all of these graphs is how fast download, upload, and streaming are critical applications to the Indian Wi-Fi users. Now, all the data that I showed you on the last two slides was pre-COVID. Now, the pandemic, unfortunately, has caused a lot of shift, or where things have moved towards the home, where people are staying home, and this has caused a huge shift in data usage, especially on the home network. Work from home, school from home, and entertainment at home is the new normal. What was optional before is now mission critical. We need to remember that traditionally the internet was focused on being a downstream mechanism, or whether you are downloading media, browsing, etc. But now with video conferencing, upstream is equally important. For example, in the Google chat and the interface that we are using here, it is a bidirectional, meaning upstream and downstream simultaneous traffic. Video, especially, is bandwidth intensive and requires latency for high quality. So not only are we supporting more devices, but also increase capacity so that these devices can simultaneously use the network effectively. And this is made possible by underlying technologies like Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. Now, in today's world, connectivity is not about moving data from one device to another. It is more about delivering compelling user experiences and making sure that you get access to whatever you need, wherever you need, whether it's at home, office, or outside at a restaurant, stadium, or just when you're just commuting from one place to another. We're living in always connected lives, and we expect high throughput, low latency applications, whether you're streaming a movie, browsing, or watching a live event. In the future, we're talking about use case experiences like AR, VR for immersive experiences, IoT devices, or a large number of users uploading live videos from a stadium, and all supported through this backbone Wi-Fi networks. And this is key to what we discussed today, why the backbone is key and why the technologies we discussed are key. And with that, wrapping up, my key takeaways for you. Surely time to upgrade your router if it's not using mesh technology. Time to get a self-configuring, self-optimizing, self-organizing, self-healing Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E mesh router for your home in the future. Wi-Fi 6 is the next generation or the new generation of Wi-Fi technology that is designed for modern day use cases and will fundamentally change the way Wi-Fi operates. And our vision, my team's vision, is to make these networks connected, interactive, intelligent, and secure, and to create a seamless, personalized experience for each one of you. We aim to enable an intelligent, connected future in India and around the world. The opportunities and use cases for these devices and these mesh Wi-Fi networks are stupendous, and I could not be more excited about the future. Thank you. So over to you, Harsh and team.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so thank you so much for this exhilarating session. And now, I mean, switching over to the fireside session. So, yeah, here the first question from you. I mean, your entire journey is somehow inspirational for us as as a student. So, I mean, you started in Qualcomm as an intern, and now you are the product manager. So, how the journey has been over the period?
Okay, great question. Thank you. And I think it's been a phenomenal journey. And every role, every product, every project, and every initiative of my career has been filled with tremendous learning. I'll probably talk about a key one that helped me, transition, because you spoke of, how I evolved from engineering to product management. So at Qualcomm, I started my journey as a systems test engineering intern working on Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chipsets. A couple of key lessons that I learned being in the systems test side was identifying gaps, being curious and asking questions, and thinking out of the box to uncover corner cases in our system. Over the years, my responsibilities within the engineering organization actually grew from a feature lead to an engineering manager leading global teams delivering various features in a product. During this phase, I submitted a couple of ideas to be filed as patents. Now, as an engineer, I believe that if an idea was good, it would sell. What happened was my first few ideas got rejected. I filed a couple more and they got rejected too. At that point, I had two choices: to give up because it was a lot of investment in terms of time and energy. And this is beyond your work. So your work is not resulting in these patents, but you're thinking, you're innovating. And Qualcomm really focuses a lot on innovation, and you will see that in our patent portfolio. So there was this encouragement that, hey, think of it beyond your work and do this. But I was not able to kind of get through, and I had this choice where I could give up or I could work on understanding why I was failing. So I chose the latter, and I followed up with reviewers and attorneys. And that's when I understood an idea is only as good as it sells. So for the next idea, I had all the answers ready. What is a customer's pain point? What does it address? And what is the business value proposition for Qualcomm in that idea? And this process helped me focus on the business aspect of an idea, seeing it from a customer's viewpoint. So I started engaging more with customers. I started doing demos. And in my spare time, seeing it from a customer's viewpoint, I started engaging, more with customers, and I started studying marketing, finance, strategy, and other business-related concepts. And I realized that a product management role aligned with my interests and abilities. I could utilize my technical expertise, problem solving through communication, and a customer-centric approach to advocate for our products and market our product that I truly believed in. And this, coupled with some encouragement from my mentor, sponsor, was the driving point of my decision to transition to product management from engineering about 2 years ago. And it's been 2 years in this role, and I cannot think of a better role for myself.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, it has been 10 years and still you're enjoying this, doing all this sort of things. So it actually, I mean, portrays how excited you are for this company and for about your work. So yeah, it's inspirational a lot for us. So I would request, the audience here to put their questions in the chat box as well. As such, we can address them as well if we get time in our hands. So moving on to the next question, ma'am. So currently we are in this pandemic situation, and how do you analyze the post-COVID situation for the job market and for the new entrants in this particular field of technology?
I think interesting question and a very valid one for your all of you. So I'll give you my perspective. So I am a glass half full person, and so based on my experience, or even glass, more than half full, always I see beyond that. Let's say that, and based on my personal experiences with the cyclicity of the job market and the technology revolution that is happening around me. I spoke of Wi-Fi as a technology, but in each of these sectors that, especially within Qualcomm, because we have a lot of these technologies that we work on, there's the 5G, there is AI, and there's AR, VR, there's so much going on. I believe there is that silver lining behind that dark cloud. And this is not just Qualcomm. I mean, if you look behind also. So maybe my story of how I graduated would provide some more context around why I believe so. So I graduated during the peak of the recession in 2009. So when I mean graduated, it's completed my master's in the US. So the job market was similar to what you are seeing now. So I was fortunate enough to have had some internship experience at Qualcomm before my graduation, in that the summer internship that I had. However, there were a few mistakes that I made during my last semester and that post-graduation phase. And I wanted to let you know about that so that, there is this tendency where we take things for granted when you have an internship and you become laid back. So my lessons were what I did not do right would be, I did not take the job search, which is literally a full-time job. Let me tell you that the job search that you're doing is a full-time job, and you need to seriously look at things. You need to set aside time to study the company, to study the jobs. So I didn't do that then, and then I didn't try to upskill myself to the needs of the market. And clearly, I was poor at networking and reaching out. In today's world, due to LinkedIn and many other facets that you see around you, there is that motivation. It's still hard to do, but in those days, it was even harder. And we'd have companies come into for job fairs, etc., where we'd have people communicating, giving out the business cards, But I didn't take that opportunity to engage with them meaningfully. I was too laid back and took things for granted. This is a major mistake. So I would say that, have set milestones and see how you want to approach your job search. While I did get an offer to rejoin Qualcomm full-time eventually, which is why, my journey has been at Qualcomm throughout, the mistakes I made during that phase have served as a great reminder for me. And as all of you know, the job market exploded once things slowly came back to normal. So I believe great things wait for you on the other side. And I'm talking about the overall job market. Work relentlessly hard, set short-term and long-term goals with milestones. When we are in school, or let's say this, when from till your 12th grade, and then even in college, right? We were competitive, so we knew, oh, I need to hit this GPA. This assignment I need to complete, or I need to submit a paper to this conference. What happens is once you go into once you go into grad school, etc., sometimes there is that tendency to get laid back, and this spills over even more when you come into work. So don't get that laid back attitude. Be student always. That's what I say. Keep that student always mindset, but you're continuously learning. Okay, and the technology landscape also is continuously evolving, and you should be a learner for life. Even today, one of the things that helps me is what I do at work, of course, but what I do beyond work to keep myself updated on all the technology that's going on, and that helps me put things in perspective. Now, summarizing that, that said, Qualcomm, with our 5G connectivity, automotive, and many other growth stories, has been hiring through the pandemic. So for us, the hiring still continues. But I was telling about the overall job market, and I would definitely recommend, for folks. I mean, you are second and third years, But I would recommend for others that to definitely check the positions out at Qualcomm.
Yeah, here is another question. So you have attended many of the conferences and events on the topic of women and women in technology. So how do you see? I mean, how do you see this evolution, and how do you see this change? What are your views on this particular topic, and why do you think that more and more women should be in technology? Like, I mean, your journey is also an inspiration for all other women. So we would like to know more about your views on this particular topic.
Thank you. You're really kind to say that. I would say I'm barely getting started. As you alluded to before, it's just been about 10 plus years, 11 years barely. And let me give you some background on how I got to taking up these initiatives beyond my work. So what happened was when I joined the corporate world, right? I came into Qualcomm. I was an intern. I explained what happened during my internship and how I was laid back. And when I joined the corporate world, so people around me were more experienced, intelligent, and smarter. This is, I think, quite normal, where you will feel small. Historically, you've been with peers who've been at the same level at you at the max, or a couple of years when you go into your masters, till undergrad, it's pretty much like all of you are almost at the same level, same age, etc. Masters, you'll see, a few experience here and there, but it's still at par. You're at par. But when you come into the corporate world, you hit with this so many people, and everybody knows everything, and you are this tiniest person who comes in and goes into meetings and is trying to figure things out. And this is not just into a new, when you come in as a new grad. Even when you go into a new job, you feel that, but you've had some experience. The new grad experience is a little different. So I hesitated in speaking up and taking up any initiatives, thinking that people around me were going to be better at it. So I limited my world to my lab, my work. I saw these volunteering opportunities, conference engagements, and opportunities to go to customer side. But I always thought maybe next year, there's always going to be somebody who's better than me. And if I apply, it's not going to work out. So that said, I didn't do anything, just head down, work and work, work, work. That's all I did. But I believe that doing anything outside work would mean time away from work and as a result, impact my deliverables. So a strong nudge and encouragement from my then mentor helped me overcome that barrier and step up to take volunteer opportunities. From there, meeting people, sharing ideas, and stepping up to lead projects for the community within and outside Qualcomm was instrumental in helping me develop my self-confidence. It helped me build my organic network, as I call it, or inside-out connections. What I mean is, through your work, you are not just, sending people saying, I want to connect with you, but you're connecting with people meaningfully. So these people know you and you've built an organic network, which is outside your work colleagues or your team, but just this whole diverse set of people who have different perspectives. These interactions have played a monumental role in helping me learn about new fields, discuss ideas, and gain a breadth of perspectives. And it's based on these experiences that I decided to be visible. I encourage others to do the same and inspire new grads, women, and people from diverse backgrounds to come solve different problems in the tech sector. And finally, I also believe that a paid forward culture where we share our learnings and empower each other is extremely critical. And that's why what you are doing here, via this platform, or what your group is trying to do in terms of sharing your learnings and empowering each other is so critical. So hats off to you for doing that. You, your professors, really, really appreciate the initiative. Yep.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So yeah, I mean, had it been a long chat, it's always. I mean, I'm I'm loving the concept and the way you demonstrated it all, and yeah, the way your ideas are. It apparently appears that you have learned a lot from your life experience, apart from all sort of bookish knowledge which we try to acquire. So yeah, I mean, for with this, I would like to switch over to Disha. She would take up some of the questions from the chat box. I mean, the time is a constraint to us, so we will limit the questions. So over to you, Disha.
Yeah, so we'll take questions now. So the first question is from Mr. Kaustav Chaudhary. He asks, in this process, we have to buy more devices or routers with mesh network, then cost will be more. So why not just embed them into mobile devices and then we can get more mobile child nodes? So what's your opinion on that?
You ask a really good question, which means you are thinking differently, and I appreciate that. So one problem that you may have seen with mobiles is power, right? We run out of battery all the time, and if you start turning on your soft AP, or tethering as we call it, you will see that the power will drain tremendously. Now, these devices that we need, that we are talking about, are more of are connected, are plug-in devices, right? So that's why we already have the soft AP feature, that I mean, in different words, it's called mobile hotspot, right? So those will continue to operate, and those will be enhanced to make it Wi-Fi 6, etc. So that technology will be there for making it more mobile, but it is more how do you say, a last minute solution, or a go-to solution when things are not working. But for carrying these sensitive how do you say, immersive applications, which are heavy duty, etc., you will need more of a heavy duty router. Now, coming to what you're saying about more devices, the good part is, you will see that these 3 packs are actually coming almost in the same price range of what you used to get for a one router for, or you will see there's a wide price range across this. So what our customers and partners we've seen have done is, there is a lot of optimization that has been done for the price point. So you can see, I mean, I'm familiar with more of dollar price points, but you will see 3 pack. Imagine three of these router packs coming for say a $100 range, or even lower at times. So that's the price we're talking about. So which is why you will see that these mesh devices are actually cost effective too.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for answering that. So we'll take a second question from Mr. Devjyoti Chaudhary. He asks, intelligently shifting allocation of devices from 2.5 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz or vice versa, is that being done on devices?
That's definitely being done, and that's something called. So there are 2 technologies that get operated, and that there's something called load balancing. So if the load on one of these bands kind of increases, we steer. So and that's band steering, where we actively steer the clients that support both the bands to either 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz to kind of balance. And this is done on the devices, and this is done on those mesh devices that we talk about. So that's some of the intelligence that we develop, in terms of as a technology company, we kind of put all that, we make those decisions based on various factors. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is from Rajat Agarwal. According to some reports, Wi-Fi is hazardous for human health. Is it true? If yes, then as we are moving forward, we are thinking about a health too, or just bothered for a better internet accessibility.
You raise a valid point,
Yeah,
but
Nikha.
how I view it, I mean, and that's something I've given it some thought, is this is an area that lots of these bodies are looking at. So there's of course IEEE, then there is the WFA, which kind of goes through the certification of devices, and then there is the regulatory bodies in different countries. So the way it's done is the transmit power, right? So it all depends on how much are you radiating, the power that you're radiating. So depending on there are regulations around how much power these devices, etc., can radiate. So yes, that is conditional. Wi-Fi becomes hazardous that if you are just broadcasting unregulated, transmit power. But with all the regulations that devices need to follow, so you will see on the devices that you buy, it will say, say FCC certified. FCC is the regulatory body, as I explained, for the US. Similarly, you'll have something in India. So if it says that, that typically means that it has taken care of those regulations where it's backing off, or it's just doing the right power, where all that is taken into account. So definitely the regulatory bodies take care of it. It's just about, you will see that not every device kind of goes through the certification, etc. So there may be those kind of devices that regulate transmit unregulated.
Okay, the next question is from Samir Rahman. What would be your opinion on companies implementing IoT on unnecessary items like juicers, shoes, garbage bins, etc.?
Interesting question. Okay, I have my perspective on that. So I'll be brief on this one, because it's a perspective, and everybody has a right to be have their opinion. I would say, yeah. I mean, with great power comes great responsibility. So you need to be judicious, because one thing I alluded to before also is spectrum is a valuable resource. So we need to make sure that we are using it carefully for the use cases that we really need it for, and just don't use it for something that may not be needed. So that's how I would take that question.
All right. So actually, due to time constraint, that will be the last question of the day. So for faculty opinion, we will now have a word from Professor Dr. Shantanu Ghorai. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Srija. Excellent talk to this session, and we have learned many things from your talk. It is indeed very helpful for the students who are hearing or attending the session. They will learn many things, as well as your journey to this company. It will inspire them very lot, and I think will be associated with us. Thanks to everybody who have organized this, ISOI members and the faculty members who are associated with this. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Professor Gorai. I think
Yeah.
thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for encouraging your students. And I really like the kind of questions they are asking. I really want to let you know that I enjoyed this session. You can see that I'm so happy. It energizes me to go back to work today. So this is what we live for, right? I mean, to pass on, and for them to pay it forward too. So thank you for inspiring them, giving them the opportunity, and creating such platforms to you, to Professor Devjyoti, and to all the other professors. I think Harsh also mentioned the HOD. I think Madhumita. I think Dr.
No,
Madhumita or Professor
Dr.
Madhumita.
Madhurima Chattopadhyay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Unfortunately,
sorry.
attend this meeting. Unfortunately, she is busy to attend this meeting. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Please convey my regards, and definitely say that
definitely.
it is people like her, Hugh, who are inspiring, and creating leaders like all of you who have organized this session. So looking forward to many more, and please reach out if you have any questions. We couldn't take all the questions here, but I'd be definitely happy to take questions offline over LinkedIn, or via my email. I might be slow in responding, because these days I'm seeing a flood of work emails and other stuff, but definitely I'll get back to you.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you so
and
much. Yeah,
welcome.
thank you. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.